There are 10 hidden things in Disney World that most people walk straight past without ever realizing they are there. Some are built into the rides, some are hidden in plain sight on Main Street, and some are so clever you could visit the parks over and over and still never notice them. In this video, we're counting down 10 hidden Disney World details that are easy to miss, but once you know about them, you'll never look at the parks the same way again. From secret design tricks and tribute windows to hidden messages, strange illusions, and one detail that only appears at a very specific time, these are the Disney secrets hiding right under people's noses. And trust me, the one at number 1 changes the way most people think about one of Disney World's most famous attractions forever. Number 10. The talking trash can at Odyssey. Most people walk past trash cans in Disney World without giving them a second thought. You toss something in, keep moving, and that is the end of it. But at EPCOT, there have been times when one trash can near Odyssey was not just sitting there quietly doing its job, it was actually talking back. Imagine throwing something away and suddenly hearing a cheerful voice thank you for using the bin. That kind of moment is exactly the sort of weird little Disney detail that catches people completely off guard. And that is what makes it so good. It is not a giant ride or a huge attraction. It is just a normal, everyday object turned into something playful. That is one of the things Disney has always done well. They know that if they can surprise you when you least expect it, the moment sticks in your mind even more. Anybody can build a big roller coaster, but not every place thinks to make a trash can part of the experience. And that is what a lot of guests miss about Disney World. The magic is not only in the rides, it is also in the little things tucked between them. The background sounds, the hidden details in the buildings, the tiny jokes, the unexpected effects. Even something as boring as a bin can become part of the story. For guests who happen to come across it, the talking trash can felt like one of those blink and you miss it Disney secrets. The kind of thing that makes you stop and think, wait, did that just happen? And when Disney does something like that, it changes how you see the parks. Because after that, you start paying closer attention to everything. You start wondering what else around you is not as ordinary as it looks. And that is really the point of this whole list. Disney World is filled with details that most people rush past without noticing. So if a trash can surprise people, just imagine what else has been hiding in plain sight all along. Number 9. The Living with the Land. Mailbox number 82 Tribute. Living with the Land is one of those rides that a lot of people treat like a nice little break from the heat. It is calm, it is quiet, and for some guests, it is just the ride you do when you want to sit down for a while. But that is exactly why so many people miss the hidden details built into it. One of them is sitting right there in the farmhouse scene, and most people never give it a second look. The mailbox has the number 82 on it. At first, that probably sounds like nothing, just a random house number. But in true Disney fashion, it appears to be a small tribute to 1982, the year EPCOT first opened. And that is what Disney loves to do. They hide little nods in places where most guests would never think to look. It is not a giant sign pointing at itself saying, "Look at me, this is important." It is just a quiet little detail placed into the scene for people who know the history. That is part of what makes Disney World so different from a regular theme park. A regular park might build a set that looks good from a distance and leave it at that. Disney often adds extra layers even in spots most people are only going to glance at for a second. They know some guests will spot it, talk about it, and feel like they have just uncovered something special. And honestly, details like this make a ride like Living with the Land even more interesting. Because once you realize Disney tucked in a subtle tribute like that, you start looking around more carefully. You stop just floating through the attraction and start noticing the thought behind it. It also says a lot about how EPCOT was designed. Even the quieter attractions are connected to the bigger story of the park itself. So what looks like a simple farmhouse mailbox may actually be a small reminder of the year this whole place began. And the funny part is, thousands of people probably pass that number every single day without realizing it means anything at all, which is exactly why it belongs on this list. Because Disney World is full of details that seem ordinary until you find out they were never ordinary in the first place. Number 8. The Dean Finder Office Door Tribute in Journey into Imagination. Journey into Imagination with Figment is one of those attractions where a lot of people are focused on the obvious stuff. They are looking at Figment, the bright colors, the strange inventions, and all the playful chaos happening around them. But Disney tucked in a small detail that many guests ride right past without ever noticing. Inside the attraction, there is an office door labeled Dean Finder. Now, if that sounds a little odd, that is because it is meant to. It is a clever tribute to Dreamfinder, the original character from the 1983 version of the ride. Longtime Disney fans still talk about Dreamfinder because he was such a huge part of the attraction's original charm. So this little sign is Disney's quiet way of slipping in a nod to the past without making a big show of it. And this is exactly the kind of detail Disney fans love. Because it is not just random decoration. It means something. It connects the ride people see today with the version that came before it. It is like Disney left a little wink there for guests who remember the older attraction, or for people who are paying very close attention. What makes it even better is that most people would never catch it unless someone pointed it out. You could ride through, enjoy the whole thing, and have no idea that Disney slipped a hidden tribute right into the scene. That is what makes it feel special. It is not loud, it is not obvious. It is just sitting there waiting to be noticed. And really, that is one of the smartest things Disney does across the parks. They do not just build rides, they layer them. They add references, callbacks, and hidden meanings that reward people who look a little closer. So even if you have been on a ride before, there may still be details you missed completely. This one is especially nice because it is not just a hidden object. It carries history with it. It reminds people that Disney attractions are always changing, but sometimes the older versions are still quietly living on in little pieces. So the next time you are on Journey into Imagination, do not just watch Figment bouncing around causing chaos. Keep an eye out for that office door. Because hidden in plain sight is a tiny tribute that connects today's ride to one of EPCOT's most beloved originals. Number 7. Background music changes by land to shape how each area feels. A lot of people think the music in Disney World is just there to fill the silence. Nice background noise, something cheerful playing while you walk from one ride to the next. But Disney does not do it that casually. The music changes depending on the land you are in, and it is doing far more than most guests realize. As you move through the parks, the sound shifts with you. One area may feel adventurous. Another may feel futuristic. Another may feel calm, playful, spooky, or full of old-fashioned charm. Most people do not stop and think about it, but that music is helping tell you how you are supposed to feel before you even step onto a ride. And that is what makes it so clever. Disney is shaping your mood without needing to announce it. You are not usually standing there saying, "Wow, listen to this carefully chosen soundtrack." You are just feeling the result. A place feels exciting, or magical, or mysterious. And a big part of that feeling comes from what Disney is piping into the air all around you. It is one of those hidden things that works because it stays in the background. If Disney did it badly, people would notice right away. It would feel awkward, distracting, or out of place. But when they do it well, it blends in so naturally that guests often think the atmosphere is just happening on its own. It is not happening on its own. Disney is building that atmosphere on purpose. The buildings matter, the colors matter, the sounds matter, and the music ties it all together. That is why walking from one land into another can feel like stepping into a completely different world, even before you notice the signs or the rides. It also explains why Disney parks can feel so immersive compared to places that just throw attractions next to each other. Disney is not only giving you things to look at, they are also controlling what you hear, and that changes the entire mood of the space. So, while most guests are rushing toward the next ride, barely noticing what is playing above them, the music is quietly doing its job. It is guiding the emotion of the park, land by land, moment by moment. And once you realize that, you start to understand something important about Disney World. Some of its smartest tricks are not the details you can see. They are the ones you feel without even knowing why. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this so far, please give the video a like and subscribe for more Disney secrets, hidden details, and theme park videos just like this. Number 6. Disney hides mini stories inside ride queues, not just on the rides. A lot of guests treat the queue like dead time. It is the part you just put up with until the real experience begins. You stand there, check your phone, talk to whoever you are with, and wait to finally get on the ride. But in Disney World, the queue is often already part of the attraction. That is something many people do not notice. Disney does not just build a line and throw up some ropes. In a lot of attractions, the queue is packed with clues, props, little jokes, and story details that quietly set everything up before you even reach the ride vehicle. So, while guests are busy thinking nothing is happening yet, Disney is already telling the story. And once you realize that, it completely changes the way you look at those spaces. What seemed like random objects on a shelf or decorations on a wall may actually be there for a reason. A sign might hint at what is coming, a strange item in the room might reveal something about a character. Even the condition of the building, the sounds around you, or the way certain rooms are arranged can all be part of the storytelling. That is one of the smartest things Disney does. They make waiting feel like part of the experience instead of just wasted time. In some cases, the queue tells you who lives there, what happened there, or what kind of world you are stepping into. It is like the ride has already started, but a lot of people do not even realize it. That is also why Disney queues can feel so much more immersive than the average theme park queue. You are not just standing in line, you are already being pulled into the atmosphere. Bit by bit, detail by detail, Disney is setting the mood and getting your brain ready for what comes next. And honestly, that is why some guests miss so much. They are so focused on getting through the line that they forget to look around. But if you slow down just a little, those cues start to reveal a lot more than most people expect. So, the next time you are waiting for a Disney ride, do not assume the experience has not started yet. In many cases, it already has. Disney has simply hidden the beginning of the story in the one place most people never think to pay attention to. Number 5. Main Street's upstairs windows are tribute windows with hidden meaning. Most people walk down Main Street looking at the shops, the snacks, the crowds, and Cinderella Castle straight ahead. And that makes sense because Disney wants your eyes pulled forward. But one of the smartest hidden details in the entire park is actually above your head. Those upstairs windows are not just there to make Main Street look pretty or old-fashioned. Many of them are tribute windows, and they were designed to honor important people connected to Disney's history. Imagineers, artists, executives, and other key figures have their names worked into the fake businesses and signs printed on those windows. So, at first glance, they just look like part of the town. An office, a music teacher, a dentist, a photography studio. Just charming old-timey details to help sell the look of Main Street. But once you know what they really are, the whole street changes. You realize Disney hid a quiet thank you to some of the people who helped build the company and the parks. And that is what makes this one so good. It is not hidden in a dark corner. It is sitting in plain sight in one of the busiest parts of Disney World. Thousands of people walk right under those windows every day without realizing they are looking at a giant tribute wall disguised as part of the scenery. It also says a lot about how Disney thinks. They could have just built a nice-looking street and left it at that. But instead, they layered meaning into it. They turned decoration into history. They made something that works for casual guests, but rewards the people who look a little closer. That is one of the reasons Disney fans can visit again and again and still keep learning new things. The parks are full of details like this, things that look simple on the surface, but actually carry a deeper story once you know where to look. So next time you are on Main Street, do not just stare at the castle and keep moving. Look up. Because hidden above the crowds is one of Disney World's cleverest little secrets, and it has been there the whole time. Number 4. Forced perspective makes Disney buildings look far taller than they really are. One of the cleverest tricks in Disney World is something most guests never even realize is happening. You look at a building and it feels huge, grand, impressive, almost larger than life. But in many cases, it is not actually as tall as your brain thinks it is. That is because Disney uses something called forced perspective. In simple terms, they design the upper parts of buildings smaller than the lower parts. So as your eyes move upward, the structure seems taller and bigger than it really is. It is a visual trick, but a very smart one. And once you know about it, you start spotting it all over Disney World. This is one of the reasons places like Main Street and other park landmarks feel so dramatic. Disney wants buildings to feel magical and impressive without always needing to build them at a giant real-world scale. So instead of just making everything massive, they make it look massive. And honestly, that may be even smarter. The genius of this is that most people do not stop and question it. They just feel the effect. A building feels grander, a castle looks taller, a street feels more storybook-like. It all seems natural in the moment, even though Disney is quietly playing with scale right in front of you, and this is where Disney separates itself from a lot of other theme parks. They are not just building sets, they are shaping what your eyes believe. Every size choice, every angle, every design decision is there for a reason. Even the parts that seem simple are often carefully planned to control how the whole place feels. It also helps Disney create worlds that feel bigger and more impressive without completely overwhelming the guest. If everything were built at one giant realistic scale, some areas would feel less charming and a lot more bulky. Forced perspective lets Disney keep that magical, idealized look while still making things feel huge. So, the next time you are standing there looking up at a Disney building thinking, wow, that looks enormous, there is a good chance Disney has tricked your eyes in the best possible way. And that is what makes this such a perfect Disney detail. It is hidden in plain sight. You are looking straight at it, but unless someone points it out, you may never realize the illusion is even there. Number 3. The Morocco mosaic has one intentional imperfection. The Morocco Pavilion in EPCOT is one of those places a lot of people walk through without really slowing down. They notice that it looks beautiful, maybe snap a few photos, and then move on. But hidden in all of that detailed tile work is something most guests would never think to look for. One small imperfection. Now that might sound strange, because the mosaics there look incredibly detailed and carefully made. And they are. But according to the story behind them, the Moroccan artisans intentionally included a tiny flaw because they believed that only God can create something truly perfect. That idea gives the whole pavilion an extra layer that most people never notice. What looks like just beautiful decoration suddenly becomes something more meaningful. It is not only about making the area look authentic, it is also tied to a belief and a tradition, which makes the detail feel far more personal and thoughtful. And this is exactly the kind of hidden Disney detail that fits this list so well. It is not flashy. It is not loud. It is not something Disney shoves in your face. It is quiet, subtle, and easy to miss unless you know it is there. But once you hear about it, you look at the whole space differently. It also says a lot about the level of care that went into EPCOT's World Showcase. Disney did not just want these pavilions to feel like cheap versions of other countries. In places like Morocco, they brought in real craftsmanship and deeper cultural touches that added authenticity in ways many guests would never even realize. And honestly, that makes this one even better, because it is not just a cool visual detail, it tells you something about the thinking behind the design. It shows that Disney was paying attention not only to how something looked, but to what it meant. So, while thousands of people admire those mosaics without noticing anything unusual, hidden somewhere in that beautiful pattern is a small reminder that perfection was never the goal, meaning was. Number 2, the rare hidden Mickey that only appears on November 18th at noon in The Little Mermaid queue. Disney fans love hidden Mickeys, but this one is on a completely different level. Most hidden Mickeys are always there once you know where to look. You can point them out any day, any time, and they stay exactly the same. But in the queue for Under the Sea, Journey of the Little Mermaid, there is one that is far more unusual, because this one only appears once a year. On November 18th, which happens to be Mickey Mouse's birthday, the sunlight lines up at just the right angle around noon and creates a perfect hidden Mickey shape on the rock wall in the queue. Not every guest knows about it. In fact, most people walking through that area on an ordinary day would have no idea that one of Disney World's rarest little details is even there, and that is what makes this such a great Disney secret. It is not just hidden, it is timed. You cannot simply walk up whenever you want and expect to see it. Everything has to line up exactly right, which makes it feel less like a decoration and more like a tiny once-a-year event hiding in plain sight. It also shows how far Disney is willing to go with details. This is not something most guests would ever discover by accident. It is the kind of thing that sounds almost too clever to be real, and yet that is exactly why people find it so fascinating. It takes the whole idea of a hidden Mickey and turns it into something much more special. Instead of just being another shape tucked into the design, this one becomes a kind of reward for the people who know when to look. And when you think about how many guests pass through Disney World every year without ever seeing it, that makes it feel even more exclusive. It is also a perfect example of why Disney fans are always hunting for details that casual visitors miss. Because sometimes the parks are hiding things that are not only easy to overlook, but almost impossible to catch unless you already know the secret. So yes, Disney World has plenty of hidden Mickeys, but this one is different because for most of the year, it is not really there at all. Number 1. The Haunted Mansion isn't really inside the mansion you see. This is one of the biggest Disney World illusions that a lot of guests never fully realize. You stand outside the Haunted Mansion, look at that famous spooky house, and naturally assume that is where the ride is. It feels obvious. You walk into the mansion, so the ride must be inside the mansion. But it is not. The building you see from the outside is really more of a showpiece. The actual main ride takes place in a much larger hidden building set farther back, tucked out of sight behind the trees. So, in other words, the Haunted Mansion most people are looking at is not really the full Haunted Mansion at all. It is more like the front stage version Disney wants you to believe. And that is where the famous stretching room comes in. Most guests think it is just a clever pre-show, and of course it is, but it is also doing an important job. In Disney World, the stretching room actually takes guests downward so they can move from that smaller show building at the front to the much larger ride building behind it. So, while people are busy watching the portraits stretch and listening to the ghost host, Disney is quietly moving them where the real attraction actually begins. That is such a classic Disney trick. They are entertaining you at the exact same moment they are hiding what is really happening. You are distracted by the story, the room, the lighting, the voice, and the tension building all around you. So you do not stop and think about the fact that the mansion you entered is not the same place where most of the ride is happening. And honestly, that is what makes this such a perfect number 1. It changes the way you think about one of Disney World's most famous attractions. Because once you know this, you cannot really unknow it. The next time you go through Haunted Mansion, you are not just seeing a spooky house. You are seeing one of Disney's smartest old-school illusions in action. It also says a lot about how Disney designs its parks. They do not just build rides. They build misdirection. They build transitions. They build little moments that guide your brain into accepting the story they want you to believe. And in this case, they are making you believe you are spending the whole ride inside that eerie mansion sitting in front of you, when in reality, the biggest part of the attraction is hidden somewhere else entirely. So yes, the Haunted Mansion may look like one house from the outside, but that is only what Disney wants you to think. And that is exactly what makes Disney World so fascinating. So much of the magic is not just in what you see right away, but in the details, tricks, and hidden choices working quietly in the background. If this video made you see Disney World in a whole new way, let me know which hidden details surprised you the most. And if you want more Disney secrets, theme park truths, and things most guests never notice, make sure you like, subscribe, and stick around for the next one.